यशोदानन्दन व्रज जनरञ्जन यशोदानन्दन व्रज जनरञ्जन यमुनातीरावनचारी यमुनातीरावनचारी जय राधा माधवा कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधवा कुंज बिहारी हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे जय राधा माधव राधा माधव राधे जय पंचतत्व जय पंचतत्व पंचतत्व जय पंचतत्व जय नरसिंहदेव जय प्रहलाद महाराज नरसिंहदेव जय प्रहलाद महाराज जय जगन्नाथ जय बालदेवा जय सुभद्रा देवी जय सुभद्रा देवी जय जय प्रभुपाद 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 जय जय प्रभुपाद निताय गौर हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल निताय गौर हरि बोल जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर श्री श्रीमद हिज डिवाइन ग्रेस ऐसी भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। इस्कॉन फाउंडर आचार्य श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। ब्रह्म मध्व गौड़ी आचार्य वृंद की जय। नामाचार्य श्रील हरिदास ठाकुर की जय। प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधार श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद की जय। श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरि गोवर्धन की जय। वृंदावन धाम की जय। नवद्वीप धाम की जय। मायापुर धाम की जय। गंगा माई की जय। यमुना माई की जय। तुलसी देवी की जय। भक्ति देवी की जय। सामवेद गौर भक्तवृंद की जय। Premanande Hari Hari Bol. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories, all glories, all glories to Sri Guru and Gauranga. All glories to Śrīla Prabhupada. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Today we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 8, entitled Questions by King Parīkṣit, verse 27. Sūta uvāca sa upāmantrito rājñā kathāyām iti sat-pateḥ brahmarāto bhṛśaṁ prīto viṣṇu-rātena saṁsadi. Sutta uvāca sa upāmantrito rājñā kathāyām iti sat-pateḥ brahmarāto bhṛśaṁ prīto viṣṇurātena saṁsadi. Sutta uvāca sa upāmantrito rājñā kathāyām iti sat-pateḥ brahmarāto bhṛśaṁ prīto viṣṇurātena saṁsadi. Kindly repeat. Sutta uvāca. Śrīla Sūta Gosvāmī said, Sa, he, Śukadeva Gosvāmī, upāmantritaḥ, thus being inquired, rājñā, by the king, kathāyām, in the topics, iti, thus, sat-pateḥ, of the highest truth, brahmarātaḥ, Śukadeva Gosvāmī, bhṛśaṁ, very much, prītaḥ, pleased, viṣṇu-rātena, by Mahārāja Parīkṣit, saṁsadi, in the meeting. Translation. Sūta Gosvāmī said, thus Śukadeva Gosvāmī, being invited by Mahārāja Parīkṣit to speak on topics of the Lord Śrī Kṛṣṇa with the devotees, was very much pleased. Purport. Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam can be legitimately discussed only among the devotees of the Lord. As the Bhagavad-gītā was authoritatively discussed between Lord Kṛṣṇa and Arjuna, the Lord and the devotee respectively, similarly Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, which is the postgraduate study of Bhagavad-gītā, can also be discussed between the scholars and devotees like Śukadeva Gosvāmī and Mahārāja Parīkṣit. Otherwise, the real taste of the nectar cannot be relished. Śukadeva Gosvāmī was pleased with Mahārāja Parīkṣit because he was not at all tired of hearing the topics of the Lord and was more and more anxious to hear them on and on with interest. Foolish interpreters unnecessarily tackle the Bhagavad-gītā and Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam when they have no access to the subject matter. There is no use in non-devotees meddling with the two topmost Vedic literatures, and therefore Śaṅkarācārya did not touch Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam for commentation. In his commentation on the Bhagavad-gītā, Śrīpāda Śaṅkarācārya accepted Lord Kṛṣṇa as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but later on he commented from the impersonalist view. But being conscious of his position, he did not comment on the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. Śrīla Sūta Gosvāmī was protected by Lord Kṛṣṇa, Vede Brahma Vaivarta Purana, and therefore he is known as brahmarāto. And Śrīman Parīkṣit Maharaj was protected by Viṣṇu, and thus he is known as viṣṇurātena. As devotees of the Lord, they are always protected by the Lord. It is clear also in this connection that a viṣṇurātena should hear Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam from brahmarāto and no one else, because others misrepresent the transcendental knowledge and thus spoil one's valuable time. Namo Om Viṣṇu-padāya Krishna-prishtāya bhūtale Śrīmate Bhaktivedanta Swāminiti Namini Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Desh Tarini Vancha Kalpatarobhescha Kripa Sindhubhya evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Śrī Kṛṣṇa Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Śrī Advaita Gadadhara Śrī Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So, in this chapter, Parīkṣit Maharaj asks a lot of questions. The whole of the chapter till this point is simply asking many questions. And he starts by explaining about the importance of hearing answers for these questions. The answers for these questions form Bhagavatam. And Parīkṣit Maharaj tells Śukadeva Gosvāmī, I want to hear about the Lord and his potencies. And I want to hear about his pastimes. And hearing Bhagavatam thus, I want to leave my body. And why do I want to do it? Because when you hear about Krishna regularly, then Krishna manifests in your heart. And when Krishna manifests in one's heart, he cleanses all the material contaminations like lust, anger, and hankering. All those material contaminations are removed by the Supreme Lord himself, who manifests in our heart. And this results in devotees becoming attached to the Lord very firmly. Anartha nivritti, and eventually it leads to ashakti and nishta, ruchi and ashakti. Very firmly they become attached to the lotus feet of the Lord. So that is why it is important. So in the beginning of the chapter, Parīkṣit Maharaj gives reasons why he wants to ask these questions. Because he is going to leave his body, and when he leaves his body, he wants a firm attachment towards Krishna. And the firm attachment comes when all the nonsense goes away. And all the nonsense goes away when Krishna comes and sits in your heart. And Krishna will come and sit in your heart if you regularly hear Bhagavatam. And that is why I want to hear Bhagavatam. And he is requesting Śukadeva Gosvāmī to answer a whole load of questions. And all of those questions, in summary, talk about Visarga, the secondary creation. Till now, we talked about the primary creation, how from Krishna we had the 4 expansions, and then from the 4 expansions we have Mahavishnu, and then from the body of Mahavishnu, different planets, different universes come out. So that part was discussed. Now, in this section, Parīkṣit Maharaj is specifically asking questions about what happens in each of the universe, how Brahma appears, and then how Brahma creates different planets, and then what kind of living entities live in those different planets. What is the social order for the living entities in this planet? What is the spiritual and social order of people who live here? And what is important for somebody who is about to leave his body? And can you explain what happens to yogis at the time of death in this planet? Where there are yogis who are leaving their body at time of death. And what happens to devotees? What happens when we performing devotional service? So lot of questions he asks. In summary, they will form the basis for discussion on the secondary creation, the creation of Lord Brahma. First section, he asks questions that formed basis for Sarga, the primary creation. Second set of questions form the basis for the creation of the secondary creation, which is starting with Brahma and creating of he asks about Virat Rupa. All the 14 planetary systems are supposed to be forming the Virat form of the Lord. Can you explain to me? Second canto is full of Virat Rupa. So many different types of Virat Rupa will be explained. So he is asking one more Virat Rupa, which is formed by the planetary systems, the 14 planetary systems, which are secondary creation. And Śukadeva Gosvāmī is particularly saying that he would like to hear this from, Parīkṣit Maharaj is saying that he would like to particularly hear it from Śukadeva Gosvāmī, because he does not do philosophical speculation. There were thousands, hundreds of thousands of sages. And Parīkṣit Maharaj particularly wanted to hear from Śukadeva Gosvāmī, because he said, you do not do philosophical speculation. And you repeat as you have heard. Sukha, the typical quality of a parrot is saying everything as it is. So he is free from mental speculation. Parīkṣit Maharaj was very conscious that he will not hear anything that was not bona fide. And Srila Prabhupada, in that context, in the Purport, writes about Śaṅkarācārya. You know, how even he was not willing to write a commentary on Bhagavatam. As Lord Shiva, he recited the whole Bhagavatam to Śukadeva Gosvāmī personally. You know, when he was in the parrot form, you know, he was here. No? So he was. So it is not that he is not qualified to speak about Bhagavatam, but because he came with a different agenda, with a different purpose, for a different service of the Lord, he did not touch Bhagavatam. He never commented on Bhagavatam. So Prabhupada states the importance of avoiding philosophical speculations, especially from Mayavadis. And Parīkṣit Maharaj assures Śukadeva Gosvāmī, please don't think that I will become tired. I am not going to feel any exhaustion, because I am getting nectar. Not just nectar, ocean. It is just, I think it's the verse, because of my drinking the nectar of the message of the infallible personality of Godhead, which is flowing down from the ocean of your speeches, I do not feel any sort of exhaustion due to my fasting. So he is requesting, don't stop. You know, we will not have any coffee break, any kind of sleeping break, prasadam break, nothing. You know, let's continue. Because I am getting oceans of energy from hearing the pastime. So Parīkṣit Maharaj is all set. You know, he asks the questions that are going to explain the secondary creation, and questions specifically meant for persons who are about to leave their body. Then he assures that he would be attentive, you know, and he gives reason why he chose Śukadeva Gosvāmī as the person from whom he wants to hear. And Śukadeva Gosvāmī in this verse is expressing his pleasure. Sūta Gosvāmī says that Śukadeva Gosvāmī was very happy. And Srila Prabhupada in the verse talks about who is qualified to speak and who is qualified to hear. Brahmarāto is somebody who is protected by Krishna, and viṣṇu-rātena is somebody who is protected by Lord Vishnu. So viṣṇu-rātena should hear from brahmarāto. So both are devotees of Krishna. Devotees should hear from devotees, because only then the effect of nectar will come. Because it is coming from the lips of Śukadeva Gosvāmī, it is nectarian. If the same thing is heard from a person who is an impersonalist, somebody who is non-devotee, it becomes poison, milk touched by the lips of a serpent. Srila Prabhupada says that is the effect. The same glories of Krishna, when we try to hear from somebody who is not a devotee, then milk is nourishing. But if there is a drop of poison there, it is no more nourishing. So it is very important that we hear from devotees. You know, then we get the effect of nourishment. And if we hear from somebody who is not bona fide, it will be reversed. The effect will be reversed. Prabhupada is mentioning about how Śukadeva Gosvāmī was protected by Lord Kṛṣṇa. That is the pastime that Lord Shiva wanted to narrate Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam to Parvati Devi on her request. And he had requested every living entity to go away from that area. Confidential, transcendental pastimes. And Parvati was listening. And I mean, I've heard this in lecture, but in so many versions. So this is one of the versions I've heard. And there was a parrot that just was born at that time. No? So everybody left, but that parrot just hatched. So it is not possible for the parrot to leave. So it was there, and Parvati, as she was listening, she was going like, no, acknowledging that she is following. And because it's a parrot, also started imitating that sound. No, when he was listening to Bhagavatam, he was also starting to do that. And at some point, Parvati Devi fell asleep by the arrangement of the Lord. And the parrot was continuing to listen with the acknowledgement sound, like that. And after reciting Bhagavatam, when Lord Shiva understood what has happened, it's a parrot that has been humming like like that, he becomes angry and he wants to punish the parrot. So the parrot becomes very afraid and he flies down from Kailash to the earth, where he encounters wife of Vyasadeva, Vatika, and she was hearing Bhagavatam, and in astonishment she had her mouth like that, you know, she was so astonished, and the parrot just went into her womb, and the parrot stayed in her womb for 16 years. And then finally she requested Vyasadeva, Vatika, she requested Vyasadeva, please somehow bring out this child, you know, 16 years I have been carrying him. So Vyasadeva then requested Krishna, who was on the planet at that time, and Krishna personally came and spoke, and the parrot said, I am not coming out because I don't want to be entangled in this material world. You know, I am not coming out, because the minute I come out, I am going to be attacked by Maya. And then Krishna personally guarantees the child in the womb that you don't worry, I will protect you. You will not be entangled by material world at all. You will be protected by me. And you have heard, not once, twice you have heard. You heard from Lord Shiva, you know, topmost devotee, you have heard from Mahajan, then you have heard from your father also in the womb of your mother. You have heard twice the Bhagavatam. And any kind of impersonal understanding is completely destroyed because of that hearing. And I personally assure you that you will be liberated and you will not be touched by any material desires. You know, you will not be touched by Maya. So after that, he is born as a boy who is 16 years old, and we always see Śukadeva Gosvāmī completely without any clothes. You know, he has no concept of body at all. He does not identify himself. Vyasadeva wears clothes and all. And there is this famous pastime in the first canto when Śukadeva Gosvāmī was walking past. All the ladies were still bathing in the river naked. They were not even conscious of his presence, because he wasn't conscious of his presence. But when Vyasadeva walked, they respected his ashram, you know, and they looked at him as a senior person of the community, of the society, and then they covered themselves. So Śukadeva Gosvāmī was completely, totally detached, because of the protection he got, blessings he got from Krishna, and because of hearing Bhagavatam. And we know Parīkṣit Mahārāja is viṣṇu-rātena. When he was in the womb of his mother, Uttara, at that time, Ashwatthama sent Brahmastra. And she came running to Krishna as soon as she saw the Brahmastra. And all her 5 husbands were there. And she went to Krishna. Arjuna can nullify the effect of Brahmastra. And all of them were equally powerful. But she went to Krishna. And she told, you know, even it is okay if I get killed, but I don't want the last successor of this line of Pandavas to be killed. So kindly protect me, Lord. So then Krishna entered the womb of Uttara, And there he saw that Brahmastra actually has attacked the child. The child was completely burnt. In the first canto, we have that description. Completely, the body was completely destroyed. Then Krishna appears in small thumb size with 4 arms, and one of the arm has Sudarshan Chakra. And he goes around and he nullifies the effect of the Sudarshan Chakra. And he gives a new body and protects the baby in the womb of Uttara. So he is viṣṇu-rātena because he is protected by Krishna in the womb itself. Yeah? So this class of personalities are the ones who are eligible for speaking and hearing Bhagavatam. So now the next question naturally that comes to us is, where do we find our brahmarāto? Who is that wonderful devotee from whom we can hear Bhagavatam? And how can we be viṣṇurātena? I should be a viṣṇurātena to hear Bhagavatam, so it becomes effective. And I should hear from a brahmarāto so that it is bona fide. So where do we find who is our brahmarāto? Srila Prabhupada. And brahmarāto is the one who is protected by Krishna. Is Srila Prabhupada protected by Krishna? Yes, oh, Prabhu is nodding. Can you tell us how he was protected by Krishna? Yes, 2 heart attacks were there, and all, not just one form, Dashavatar, all 10 incarnations came. You know, very powerful devotee. All 10 incarnations were there, and they all protected him, and they all blessed him. And he wrote, you know, after the 2 heart attacks, you know, what is the general mindset of people? People would just think like, you know, oh, this is not something suitable for me. If ocean is going to be like this, how is going to be a foreign land which has like a snow, you know, coming from Vrindavan, you know, snow and all these things are not concepts so familiar to Indians unless we are like in Kashmir or something. You know? So he could have very well taken the ship back, you know, and it wouldn't have been wrong. It wouldn't have been any fault. You know, what is your limitation? You perform to that level, it's okay. You know, but he never thought of his body. He always knew Krishna was there to protect him. So he said, I'm like a puppet. You know, after a heart attack, the diary entry would be like, I'm a puppet. I don't know why you are bringing me to this country. I'm like a puppet. Please make me dance as you want. You know, a very, very deep love for Krishna. He can do anything for Krishna. Even a heart attack cannot stop him. Even a close to death encounter cannot stop him from spreading the mission of Lord Chaitanya. So he is the perfect brahmarāto from whom we can hear. So the minute we open the pages of Bhagavatam, Srila Prabhupada comes alive. Prabhupada says, I live in my books. He comes alive. Yeah, so as long as we are hearing from Prabhupada, we are hearing from brahmarāto. He is a person who can do anything for Krishna, just like Arjuna. Just like Arjuna. Krishna did not have to explain Bhagavad-gītā at all to Arjuna. If Krishna was telling Arjuna just to go, you know, nobody would do that. You know, your Guru Maharaj is there, grandfather is there, uncles are there, brothers are there. You know, just go shoot your Guru Maharaj. Who will say, okay, I will shoot, you know. It's such a horrifying thing to do, no? But Arjuna would have done that if Krishna had ordered. But Krishna wanted that discussion. Brahma-rātaḥ, viṣṇu-rātena is meant for cleansing our heart, so that Krishna will come and sit in our heart. So for that purpose, then 45 minutes of Bhagavad-gītā was spoken. You know, nobody can be convinced of a murder in 45 minutes, you know. So it wasn't just because Krishna said Bhagavad-gītā, Arjuna is convinced. Arjuna was anyways ready. Whatever, nimitta matram bhava, whatever Krishna wants, Arjuna will act as an instrument to do it. But that conversation between Krishna and Arjuna is meant for us, so that Krishna can come and sit in our heart and cleanse our heart by hearing those narrations. So the same is being done by Parīkṣit Maharaj also. He did not have to die. He had the power to nullify the curse. He had the power to even counter curse. But he did not go through any of that. Why did he not do that? Simply for our sake. Just as Arjuna and Krishna Samvada was for us, similarly, Śukadeva Gosvāmī and Parīkṣit are also talking for us. So they are truly devotees of Krishna, because they want the message of Krishna to be spread. And Srila Prabhupada imbibes exactly that mood. Even if I have to die, I will listen to Bhagavatam for 1 week, so the whole world benefits. Parīkṣit Maharaj. Even if you give me heart attack, I will go to America and I will spread the message of Lord Gauranga. That's Srila Prabhupada. So perfect brahmarāto. So we have perfect source from where we can hear. Now how can we become perfect viṣṇu-rātena? How can we become like Parīkṣit? We can become, yes, by regularly hearing. Yeah, by regularly hearing. That is the recommendation of Parīkṣit Maharaj. Sometimes I feel little upset when devotees say, "Who's giving class today?" You know, why? You know, devotee is giving class. You know, there should be you should not think like that. You know, you should be willing to hear Bhagavatam. No. I will go with the Maharaj is giving class. I will go, oh, I know this Prabhu gives nice class. I will go there. Oh, that one I don't even know. I'm not tuning in today for Bhagavatam. No. You should every single day hear Bhagavatam. And just like how Parīkṣit Maharaj heard no distinction, I will hear only from this person. They're all talking from Srila Prabhupada. At that moment, they're all delivering the message from Srila Prabhupada. So there should be no prejudice in hearing and humbly asking questions and serving those devotees, and then we will become proper viṣṇu-rātenas, through which the message of to whom the message will be conveyed, in whose heart the message will sit, and through that message all the anarthas will be destroyed. So as the process progresses, people who regularly read and hear Bhagavatam, what is the effect they'll have? Their anarthas will be removed. And they will, once that anartha is removed, they will be very determined in their practice of devotional service. Pakka chanting, everything will, never will eat without offering. So all the practices become very strong. And they will not do it by force. They will do it because it is relishable for them. They develop the taste for doing it. Some of us, we do it because we promised our Guru Maharaj or something like that. But just simply by hearing Bhagavatam, we will develop taste for actually performing devotional service. And then that will lead to what Parīkṣit Maharaj is targeting. Yeah, he is saying you will develop very deep attachment to the lotus feet of the Lord. That's Ashakti. And bhava and prema are in Krishna's hand, and when pure devotees bless, we will get those. So when he is talking about Bhagavatam and importance of hearing, he talks about that. I can just hearing all this, of course, bhava and prema are also going to be there. As long as you are your father's son and you live like your father's son, you are going to inherit. There is no doubt. Similarly, as long as you are following and hearing Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, the love for Godhead will automatically arise. There is no doubt about it. But devotees are very humble, so they give that ultimately bhava prema Krishna has to give. through the blessings of pure devotee. We don't assume that we become eligible. Even though it is true that somebody who hears Bhagavatam regularly becomes eligible, we don't assume. Yeah? And when we are hearing, we should have that mindset like Parīkṣit Mahārāja. He would not. He would ask a lot of apparently challenging questions, but he was not in a challenging mood. He would ask many questions which he thought are needed for many of those sages who are impersonalists. So he would ask questions to clarify points, so they will become devotees. So even in that 1 week that he is preparing to die, he is very strongly preaching to the hundreds of thousands of sages, among whom some may be impersonalists. So that heart is there, to preach. So that mood should be there. I am hearing and I may ask questions for increasing my Krishna consciousness, never to challenge, never to question the authority of Bhagavatam. When we hear with that mood, then and seva, and main seva is very clearly given by Prabhupada, chanting 16 rounds, following regulative principles, Ekadashi, the morning program, evening program, throughout the day, service, eat prasadam. Seva is, so pariprashnena sevaya. So we do that, then we develop that mood like Parīkṣit Maharaj, and it will work. In essence, the whole process will work. So to conclude, we are looking at Canto 2, Chapter 8, where it's called as Questions by King Parīkṣit, where Parīkṣit Maharaj initially glorifies the process of hearing Bhagavatam and explains the effects of hearing Bhagavatam. Then he poses a long list of questions that basically talk about the secondary creation, the different planetary systems, who all lives in each type of planetary system, the power of karma, why somebody lives in heaven, why somebody is in hell, the concept of karma, the concept of kala, he asks all those questions, how somebody becomes conditioned, and how somebody can become liberated, and where do conditioned souls live, how do the liberated souls live. So all these questions regarding secondary creation he poses, and he glorifies Śukadeva Gosvāmī as someone who is not a philosophical speculator, and requests to hear from him in particular because he is heard in parampara from Vyasadeva and Lord Shiva before that. And he assures him of undivided attention. I won't get up and leave because I am thirsty, hungry, sleepy, tired, bathroom break, you are nourishing me, so I don't need any other nourishment, so please speak. And in this particular verse, Prabhupada talks about who is eligible for speaking, who is eligible for hearing, which is brahmarāto and viṣṇu-rātena, which is Parīkṣit Maharaj is viṣṇu-rātena, protected by Vishnu, and Śukadeva Gosvāmī is brahmarāto, who is protected by Krishna. And when we hear from such bona fide source, then the effect of Bhagavatam happens in our heart. Krishna sits in our heart and he removes all the anarthas, and we develop a very strong attachment for Krishna. On the other hand, if we do not hear from bona fide people, if we hear commentaries of people who are not devotees, who are envious of Krishna like Mayavadis, then it will be the flipped effect. So even Śaṅkarācārya will not do that disservice to human society by commenting of Bhagavatam in an impersonalistic way, because Bhagavatam is all pastimes of personality of Godhead. So these are some of the points we covered today. Thank you very much. If there are any comments or questions.
Um, Thank you very much for the nice class. We talked about how the parrot Shuka heard from Lord Shiva and also in the womb heard from Vyasadeva. But also it's described when he came out, Śukadeva Gosvāmī, of his mother's womb after 16 years. He had an impersonal, he was an impersonalist, and he was walking away from Vyasadeva. He was just running away. Vyasadeva was following him. And after a while, because he didn't want to hear anything from him, and then Vyasadeva chanted the Atma Rama verse, to say that even those who are satisfied in the self, even they like to hear Bhagavatam. And then his attitude changed, and he wanted to hear Bhagavatam. Have you heard of this?
I thought it was by the blessings of the Lord that he already gave up that idea of impersonalism, but he did not want to associate with the people of this world, because he was afraid of entanglement. So that is why he heard Bhagavatam already from his father in the womb. He was, as far as I know, Vyasadeva wasn't chasing him to tell him Bhagavatam. Vyasadeva was going behind him because he was his son and he left home. When son leaves home, the father wants to bring him back. And that verse is to glorify Śukadeva Gosvāmī, that even if you are completely detached, you will be attached to Bhagavatam. So that is Śukadeva Gosvāmī's mood. He is so detached that he can't even think about clothes, but he is attached to Bhagavatam. So it was like a glorification. This is my understanding. I never thought that he had to. I have not heard that way.
It's described that he had impersonal attitude.
He had.
And then when Vyasadeva spoke the Atma Rama verse, then his attitude was changed. At least this much I can confirm. But why it was like that, I was just wondering.
The impersonal attitude is not like a I want to be God kind of attitude. One of the very strong features of impersonalists is a very strong detachment they have. They don't want to be entangled in this world. The idea is they think they are God, like air is everywhere, and then when you have a pot, then the air is trapped in the pot. But when the pot breaks, then the air becomes one with the rest of the air in the atmosphere. So that casing, that pot is the body, So they want to break away from it so that they can be with the God, So that kind of detachment is something which is a very typical feature of them, So that detachment was that was the feature that we are talking about, extreme detachment. Krishna personally told him that you will not be attached to anything, so I am blessing you and protecting you, so you come. And he comes out and he remains in that detached mode. And then it's a glorification of him that even if he is so detached from everything, Bhagavatam can create attachment even in the heart of people who are completely detached. But detachment is not only a sign of impersonalists, detachment is also a sign of devotees. But our detachment is a perfect detachment, yukta vairagya. We don't reject this is Maya, this is Maya, this is Maya. We say, okay, give it to me, I'll use it in Krishna's service. Give it to me, I'll use it in Krishna's service. So we are not attached to that thing to us. We are taking that and attaching it to Krishna. So we will never become attached to things because we are directing it towards Krishna, So that is proper detachment. But Mayavadis and other artificial yogis who are artificially trying to get detached, they only try to see that, oh, I should not become attached to this, I should not become attached to that, So that fear was there, that I should not become attached to anything in this world. So that fear was removed by Lord Kṛṣṇa, and in turn what he got was attachment to Bhagavatam. You know, and that is a glorification, that even people who are very, very detached will be attached to hearing the glories of Krishna through Bhagavatam. Is that okay? Yeah. If he is parrot of Radharani, then there's no question of impersonalism there, you know. That's like, they're all top class devotees. So there's no question of impersonalism there. So that also, when we talk of impersonalism, that we talk of the element of detachment as such, not about I want to be God kind of thing. ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय, श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय।